Hey everyone, it's Smita. Today we're going to be talking all about a new line of lip products that recently came out from Colourpop. These are called the Hyper Shine Glossy Lipsticks. And basically what they are is pigmented glosses that are in kind of this stick form. And there's actually quite a number of shades. I have 8 of them, which I think are the deeper of the shades. Those are the ones that I was sent. So we're going to go ahead and swatch and try these on. If I need a liner with them, I think I'm going to pair it with one just so you can see what it looks like both ways. But I'm going to start off by trying them on without a liner. And I am really excited because one of these shades is a sheer black. I feel like it's been a little while since we've gotten a more kind of alternative shade from Colourpop. I'm waiting for them to do more than just nude shades. So that is definitely a start. But the first shade I have is called Meet Cute. Here is what it looks like on the back of my hand. Meet Cute is described as a rosy berry. Yeah, I feel like the shade range for these is quite nice. It looks like they have a number of deeper shades that are going to work for medium to deeper skin tones. And this formula is described as being non-sticky. I would agree with that. The only thing that I can't speak to in this video is longevity. So what I'm gonna have to do is come back and leave a pinned comment as to how these wear. But these are not marketed as long wear, so I do assume they're going to transfer and they're the type of lip product that you would need to touch up throughout the day. And personally, I think Meet Cute is a beautiful shade. I don't think it needs a lip liner on me whatsoever. All right, the next shade I have is called Who Is This Diva? And this is described as a warm berry. Here is what it looks like swatched on the back of my hand. So far, it really does seem like these are full pigment glosses. Like, I definitely got pretty much full pigment when I tried on the first shade. Yeah. And here is what the shade Who Is This Diva looks like fully applied. Now, I know I've talked to you all about how I feel about warm toned pinks on me. They're a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I do think that this is a pretty shade and I do like the depth of it. And just because I'm curious, I want to see what this shade looks like with a little bit of liner for definition. I'm just going to pop a little bit kind of into the center of the lip. All right, I think I like that actually. So I think if I were to wear this shade, I would opt to pair this with a lip liner. All right, next shade I have is Sunday Brunch, and this is described as a cool tone pink. And something I wanted to mention actually before I did this try on is that these are twist up. So you twist them up, you don't twist them down. But I forgot to mention that when I was first trying these on. Here is what the shade Sunday Brunch looks like swatched. Again, this is another realm of pink that I don't always tend to go for, but I do feel like it has enough depth that it may work. And I have to say, I really like how shiny these are and how lightweight they feel. Here is what the shade Sunday Brunch looks like. And now I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of liner just to see if I like that a little bit better. Normally I would add the liner first, but I really just want to get an idea of what it looks like. All right, here's what the shade Sunday Brunch looks like with liner. I do think that on me, I prefer this one with the liner as well. All right, this shade I'm super excited for. This is called High Maintenance. and it's described as a rich mauve. You can tell from the swatch it is cooler toned. It has a nice depth to it. I think that this is going to be a beautiful nude on my skin tone. All right, favorite shade so far. This is High Maintenance. Another thing I want to mention about these, because I feel like it is something that I always like to keep in mind about pigmented glosses, especially ones that are like full opacity, is there kind of a risk of getting it on your teeth? And honestly, happy to say no. So I feel like these are going to be something that you can wear and not really have to worry about in terms of the mess. So I don't know. It's something that I do have to think about when I'm wearing ones that are full pigment but have the tendency of getting on my teeth. All right, and I do think that my shades are going to be going deeper as I go. The next one I have is Sugar and Spice. This one is described as a rich, warm nude. So I think in contrast to the shade High Maintenance that I just tried on before this, it'll be similar vibes, but more of a warm tone. All right, that is a beautiful shade. All right, now we have Wine Glass. This is described as a deep red wine. Here is what it looks like swatched in the back of my hand. That is going to be a beautiful vampy shade. Here is what the shade Wine Glass looks like applied. I'm really into reds that are a little bit deeper, a little bit less bright typically. So this for me is a comfort zone red. All right, next shade we have is Mocha Melt. This is described as a plummy chocolate. And honestly, I think this is the only kind of brown leaning shade of the bunch. Considering that mostly all of these are nudes, I'm surprised because, I don't know, it just seemed like there would be more browns. This is a really pretty shade, but I'm not sure I would describe it as a plum toned brown. I almost feel like it has more of a hint of red than a hint of plum. But let me know what you think. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the shade D&D. This is described as a sheer black. This is the shade that I was personally most excited for. It's been a while since we got kind of an alternative shade from Colourpop. Here's what it looks like swatched. And I am curious if this one is going to look as kind of full opacity as the other shades. No, I actually feel like this one does have a little bit more sheerness to it. But it still has a beautiful opacity. Now you may have to be a little bit careful that this one doesn't look patchy on the lips, but honestly, I feel like that is really cool. I actually do like this one all on its own, but just because I have the Unearthly Villain lip liner right here, I'm just going to apply a little bit. And here's what the shade D&D looks like when it's paired with a black lip liner. Actually, I'm not sure which of the two ways I prefer. I think I kind of like it both ways. All right, now that I've had a chance to go through everything and do some detailed swatches and try on of 8 shades of these new glossy lipsticks from Colourpop, I want to close up with some wrap-up thoughts. I always get excited for new lines from Colourpop. I've been enjoying showcasing them on my channel, and I feel like a lot of you have been enjoying it as well. It's just nice to have pretty reliable formulas at a good price point. And I have to say, I actually, I'm not sure what I knew what to expect from these. I ended up enjoying them more than I thought in terms of the formula. So I like the fact that they feel lightweight, they don't feel sticky, and they don't transfer onto the teeth, and you get a beautiful pigmentation for them. I also think the shade range is really nice. In the past, I've sort of felt like there's been too many of the light nudes from Colourpop and not enough of the deeper nudes. So I'm really happy to see that we have a nice distribution of shades, which honestly is not always the case. So really happy about that. Personally, as an alt beauty lover, I would have loved to see more kind of weird and interesting shades like D&D. Would have loved to see a blue, a purple, a green. Maybe they're coming down the line, but you know, we'll see. I honestly was surprised even to see this more alternative shade, but maybe if people express a desire for it, we'll see more. But I hope that this is not Colourpop slowly becoming more neutral over time. Let me know what you think. I will have everything that we talked about in this video linked. As always, thank you so much if you use my links. They really do support my channel. And if you made it to the end of my video, leave me some type of lips or lipstick emoji. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.